Good evening. Hope everybody's doing all right. Another typical day of news. What can you say? I've got several tabs open. I guess about 7 tabs. But I wanted to talk a little bit about something before we get started with that. I've had an issue pop up over the course of the last few years. And I really don't know where it came from. I don't know. It's just been something that I've been dealing with the best way I can, which some days seems harder than others, but I'm trying to keep everything in perspective. And I don't ever remember this being not only a thing with me, but a thing, period. And I've never heard this before in my life. Lately, I've been starting to get a ton of ads for these things. And I've spent probably a couple of weeks or so scrolling past them, not even thinking twice about it. And then an ad popped up today that had a word that I'd never seen before. And it had these little doohickeys. And I thought, now, what the hell is this about? So I'm going to show you the ad. And I mean, the whole idea that I'm getting a ton of the ads and I've got the issue, that's on another level. I just asked Jen if she'd saw any of these ads, and she said no, she's not seen anything like this. But I've been getting a ton of these ads, mainly like on Facebook. And that word just kind of stared at me in the face, misophonia. And I'm like, okay, misophonia. What the hell is that? So, of course, Google's just another tab away. And apparently, misophonia is a disorder in which certain sounds trigger emotional or physiological responses that some might perceive as unreasonable given the circumstance. Those who have misophonia might describe it as when a sound drives you crazy. Their reactions can range from anger and annoyance to panic and the need to flee. Now, hold up. We've always had something like this. I don't know that we had a word for it. And there are some common ones that many people are familiar with, like scratching your fingernails across a chalkboard. Some people with rake across concrete will do that. I've got a hearing issue, and believe it or not, the sounds that normally drive most people crazy, like the fingernails on chalkboards, don't affect me. But there are other noises that do. However, and that's been my entire life. However, for the last few years, there's like the littlest bitty noises that will do just what this describes. It sets off anger. It's actually anger. And to give you a stupid sound, and I'm sorry for the visual here, but it's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But Blue, when she's cleaning herself and she gets a little noisy, and we call it slurping, if I hear it for a very long period of time, drives me up a wall. A repetitive noise. If I hear a repetitive noise, and it's not all repetitive noises, it's just some repetitive noises, and I don't know why. I think it has something to do maybe with the frequency of the noises, and when I say frequency, I not just mean in tone, but also in timing. It's very interesting, and I've noticed this change within myself. this is something that my entire life I've had to kind of keep a close eye on myself mentally, because I do have issues, and so I've always kind of had to keep an eye on myself to, well, keep myself in line. And yeah, I did a real shitty job of it for the majority of my life, but I'm getting there. And so anyway, I've not had this, and especially something like this on this level. I am actually interested in these devices. I actually, to be honest, I honestly would like to try some. But aside from that, I also, by the way, side note, possibly related, I don't know, but I do suffer from tinnitus, and I've got a pretty nasty case of that now. Like right now, there's screaming in my ears. Not screaming, but it's a real high-pitched noise. It's usually always there. I've got a pretty nasty case of it. But I'm interested. And by the way, these, from my understanding, some of the quote-unquote cures for tinnitus, this might even help with that as well. So I'm interested. I'm going to have to look into these things. But again, aside from that, because I don't want to get myself wrapped up too much in this, and if I can have a little bit of relief when it comes to these things, I'm actually pretty ecstatic about the idea. But let me pull me out of it. The question is why? Why is this now a thing? Why is this now something to where companies are making products? And it may seem like something gimmicky. It may seem... I don't think it is. I think it will do what they claim. I do. Because it theoretically makes sense to me. And I understand a bit about sound. I was into hi-fi audio many moons ago. Especially hi-fi car audio, to be specific. And so I do. I think that those have a good chance of helping. Again, back to the question, why? And why is this becoming such a thing that they're selling products to help alleviate this? Well, I've got my suspicions. One of them is that, as I've talked about in depth many times, the magnetic poles are shifting and the magnetosphere is weakening, and we've got a lot of magnetic changes going on right now on the Earth. That can most certainly affect things like this. In fact, it can affect entire moods. It can really mess with people. Just a change in magnetic fields. The other thing is on the natural side of things, there's also been a change in the frequency that the Earth puts off. And so that is something to take into consideration too when it comes to this stuff. And also, I think that there's some man-made tinkering, if you will, going on. And, I think we've only just begun when it comes to this type of stuff. I think it's going to continue to get worse. And if anybody else is experiencing this or any other type of odd psychological changes over the past few years, and I'm talking aside from anything that could be related to the COVID lockdowns and all that stuff, just keep a good close eye on yourself and be mindful of changes and stuff like that. And if you're suffering from problems when it comes to audible problems, this might be an answer. So I just wanted to bring that up. It's odd on so many levels. For one, why did I start? And it's not just it's just me. It's not Jen too. We live in the same place. Why am I getting a shit ton of these ads when I haven't been talking about this to anybody or anything like that? That's kind of number one. And just the idea that, again, somebody would need to make a product or feel a need to make a product to fulfill a need for a customer base when it comes to this. Just that is eye-opening in itself. So wanted to discuss that. Other than that, I don't know of anything. I haven't gotten my treasure from EcoFlow yet. I'm still awaiting that. They're closing up the Facebook group today, so there was a Facebook group that was kind of like a hidden group that you had to be invited to. So that's supposed to go away today, and I don't know, supposedly sometime before the 3rd we should get an email with our goodies. So I'm as patiently as I can awaiting. Dramatic pause for a sip of coffee. Oh, I'm not supposed to speak that stuff. I'm pulling a Joe Biden. What? What about chat? Oh, you're talking about, I saw you said tinnitus. You thought your tinnitus was from the Zycam, I guess. I have no idea. I've had it for so long, I couldn't tell you when I didn't have it. So, I don't know. I've had it for a real long time. Even since childhood, I can remember tinnitus during my childhood. So, let's see. All right. What did I say? I have like 7 tabs open, most of them involving the craziness over in Ukraine. Let me think if I ran across anything I feel I should mention ahead of time. I'm not pulling anything up. Nothing's sticking out to be bopped. Not really. I guess we'll just go with what I've got open here and then do some headlines. Here, I'm looking all over the place because I don't have my phone sitting where I normally do. That helps. Uh-oh, you caught some strange virus? Oh, I guess that's something that I could bring up. Meaning you're talking about, well, this wasn't really a virus, I guess, but... So, there's a TV show, and by the way, spoiler alert, whatever, I don't give a damn. There's a TV show called The Last of Us, and if you haven't saw episode 3, you may or may not want to ignore this. You'll know when we start talking about news. I'll switch the screen. So if you're waiting to watch episode 3 of The Last of Us and you don't want a spoiler alert, I'm telling you, mute now, and when you see the screen change, then you can unmute. You're welcome. So anyway, episode 3, episode 1 and 2 went through fine. Everything was cool. Everything was fine. Now, I don't know the game. I need to say that. I guess I need to make that disclaimer. I've never played the game. I don't know anything about the game. Not into the game. Just watching a TV series. Now, let me set the scene here. I've got to set the scene. Otherwise, it just totally makes me look like a jackass. So, much of the world is taken out by some type of fungus thing that somehow spreads to humans, and then humans bite other humans, and then it's spread that way. Yeah, it's this stupid zombie crap. I'm really not a fan of zombie crap, but there really isn't anything on, and Well, now this ain't on either, not as far as I'm concerned. So much of the world is wiped out. And there's a dude that seems to have his place of residence very well fortified and well thought out. And so, episode 3, some dude comes stumbling up onto this property, onto the property, and falls into a pit that was, of course, put there as a trap. So, dude residing at the property spoke with him, made sure he wasn't, infected or whatever, made sure he wasn't armed and all that stuff, and got him a ladder, right? Mind you, God knows when it was the last time that either of these two men have even saw a human being that wasn't some infected zombie thing. Okay? Keep that in mind. And so the guy that stumbled onto the property convinced the other guy to, provide him with sustenance. He was hungry. He hadn't eaten in a couple of days. And reluctantly, the guy's residing at the property. I guess it's his property. It is now, anyway. He he goes ahead and he lets him in, feeds him dinner, and all that. Everything from the day's winding down. They start having a discussion, a little back and forth. And it wound up with one guy checking out, the guy who stumbled on the property checked out a piano. Again, all this backstory is important. I think it's important. So this is like same day stuff. This ain't even 12 hours later, right? Two dudes probably hadn't seen another normal human being in years, right? And the dude that stumbled onto the property tried to play piano but really sucked. So the other dude sat down to play the song, which was a Linda Ronstadt song, and I can't remember what the name of the song was. I know the song, but anyway, the dude that stumbled onto the property asked the other dude, so who's the girl? And the dude that resided at the property goes, there is no girl. And the dude that stumbled onto the property said, I know, and leaned in for the kiss. So, I'm done. I mean, it's not, honest to God, not that the idea of that appalls me that much, because, hey, it's two adult men, whatever, that's fine. But the idea that the chances that these two men, after much of the world is gone, it just so happened that two gay men stumbled upon one another. And I can't even. I would even have a really hard problem with a man and a woman having an intimate on the first day when they meet, and in a situation like that. Sorry, and I know a lot of people would say, "Oh, that's one way to take out this, that," and I know, I get it, but I also know just how hesitant people will be after they experience the trauma that they would experience being in that situation. Because again, we're not talking about from the shoes we're sitting in right now. We're talking about from the shoes of being in that position fully, completely in that position. Meaning, if it's been going on for 7 years, well, then you have to put yourself in those shoes. It just doesn't, I'm sorry. It just doesn't jive. And I thought it was really ignorant. I thought it was really stupid. And it felt so forced. And so I'm done. I'm good. They ruined it with that, in my opinion. And I'm one of those people that I talk about putting action to your words. Don't just say stuff. Put actions to it. I won't watch any. And no, they're not losing any money because I wasn't paying to watch it. But they're not losing any money. But I just spent, I don't know, 10 minutes or so bitching about it, right? So there's that, I guess. Anyway, okay. Those that worried about spoiling, you can come on and join us now. We'll get talking about your beloved series, but I'm warning you. Things are about to change in episode 3. Enjoy. Alright. Another sip of coffee. I won't say it. I want to, but I won't. Alright. I really do try to be good, Father. I really do. But you see the canvas that you gave me? Let's see. U.S. accused... and by the way... yeah. By the way, I don't have these in any real particular order tonight, so just deal with it. U.S. accuses Russia of violating nuclear treaty, says media. Now, this is something that we're probably going to want to keep an eye on, these types of claims. And I know in one sense it's nothing new. It's actually the typical banter. But we aren't in typical times. And so I'm not so quick to move to say that this is going to be the typical banter this time. I think that we probably should keep a close eye on any claims, any accusations from either side when it comes to this, because the reason why the U.S. would do this is essentially so the U.S. could get away with doing something that would violate the treaty. That's how this usually works. And so keep your eye on it, because I would imagine that they are at least in the process or about to be in the process of doing something themselves that violates this treaty. I watched them do it. I watched during Trump's time in office. I watched as he did away, he got out of one of the treaties, and one of the nuclear proliferation treaties. And I watched as the U.S. turned around and violated that treaty. But in order to violate that treaty, they had to get rid of it first. And so that's essentially what they did. That's what I'm saying. Keep an eye on this stuff, because they now may be trying to get rid of the New START treaty. And if that's the case, the wild, wild west, so to speak. So, anyway, this here says U.S. President Joe Biden's administration has reportedly accused Russia of violating the last remaining nuclear weapons treaty between the two countries by blocking on-site inspections. U.S. State Department made the allegation, marking the first U.S. claim that Moscow breached terms of the New START treaty in a report sent to Congress on Tuesday, the Wall Street Journal reported. The report also claimed that Russian officials had rejected U.S. requests to hold a meeting to address compliance concerns. Russia's refusal to facilitate inspection activities prevents the United States from exercising important rights under the treaty and threatens the viability of U.S.-Russian nuclear arms control, the State Department said in a statement to Reuters. The conflict may add to concerns that the world's two largest nuclear superpowers may no longer be able to work together on non-proliferation goals amid deteriorating relations between Washington and Moscow. The Kremlin said earlier this month that the U.S.-Russian relations were probably at an all-time low and offered no hope of improving as Washington intervened against Moscow in the Ukraine crisis. And, as you know, when I say we, I don't mean you and I mean the government. The we we're not in control of. They're not going to stop intervening anytime soon. So, and along the lines of nukes, trying to make my own mushroom cloud here. Good. Pentagon chief makes nuclear pledge to Asian ally. Like we didn't see this coming. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has reaffirmed Washington's almost had it. Reaffirmed Washington's ironclad commitment to South Korea, promising to deploy the full range of U.S. conventional and nuclear military capabilities if needed to deter what he described as increasingly destabilizing actions by North Korea. You know the other thing that would do? That would allow them to put nuclear weapons in much closer range to, China. It would also allow them to use their radar systems in conjunction with those missile systems over there, once again, closer to China. I don't think that this is so much about North Korea as what it is about China. However, that's not to downplay what's going on with North Korea right now. That's another situation, one of obviously many that we need to keep our eye on. However, this is just the United States posturing weapons and equipment, again, to be able to more quickly I don't know what to say, because this is a big shit show. And I feel like if I just say the word defend, that I'm not being fully honest. Because I don't know at this point. I don't know at this point. I've been seeing a lot of provocation. A hell of a lot of provocation. And I don't know. I can't say that if something starts, if nuclear war starts, I can't tell you with absolute certainty that it wouldn't be us that started it. I can't do that. Not with this administration, not with this current situation going on, not with all of the things that's gone on since that I've been really taking close tabs of since, Obama made some pretty big changes. And, of course, Bush Jr. did, but Obama made some big changes. Then Trump made some changes. And guess what? Biden's made plenty of changes as well. So, and none of them good. None of them good. Anyway, moving on. Warsaw comments on F-16s for Ukraine. Remember, we're early on in this debate. We're not even past week 1 yet. So we got weeks 2 and 3. That's when I suspect that they'll be talking about delivery. But as of now, Poland is not planning to supply Ukraine with U.S.-made F-16 fighter jets. Deputy Defense Minister Wojciech. Yeah, okay. I don't even think that my tongue is in a proper shape, or even maybe it needs to be like hanging out my ear to say that name. Because, not with this mouth. Skirkowitz. Skirkowitz. Is it Skirkowitz? Hi, I'm Mike. I'm your English teacher. His remarks came just a day after Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, and I might be close with that one. Maybe. Said Warsaw could donate the aircraft provided that it is done as part of a concerted effort involving other NATO nations. On Tuesday, Paweł Krutul, a Polish MP and vice chairman of the Parliamentary National Defense Committee, posted a tweet saying that if the Ministry of National Defense hands over F-16 fighters to Ukraine instead of Russian MiG-29, it will mean that we are disarming. Responding to that message, Skirkowitz wrote that there is no topic of handing over the Polish F-16s. Meanwhile, on Monday, Morawiecki clarified to journalists that just as it happened a few months ago with MiG-29 aircraft, any other aircraft assistance will be coordinated, implemented, and possibly transferred together with other NATO member states. According to the Polish media, Warsaw has 48 F-16 warplanes. While Ukraine has long been asking Western powers to provide it with fighter jets, talk of such transfers has intensified in recent days after several countries agreed to supply tanks to Kiev, something they had until recently refused to do. So, and again, the rest goes into the history of all that. Fun times. I'm again anxious to get to bed, wake up in the morning hoping I've got an email from the happy people at EcoFlow. So I can be a happy people here. No, I'm sure they've got their hands full. They've got so many projects and so much going on. It's unreal. And I guess they're the new thing, right? Because the amount of quote-unquote, and you know I hate calling them these, but the amount of quote-unquote solar generators that are being sold, just on the one company alone that I'm paying attention to, it's just off the charts. Apparently, these quote-unquote solar generators are the new charcuterie board, I guess. Or the new Blackstone grill, or whatever the hell. Because there are tons of people buying them. So, they're keeping up with that, bringing out new products. Of course, you know, they've got the products that they announced at CES. That cooler looks really, really cool. You can keep the pun in there, I guess. Anyway, it does. I like that cooler. I really like that cooler. And I like that Wave 2, that air conditioner heat pump combination that they're coming out with. Both those look like really cool products. And of course, you know, even though I can't say nothing about it, the blade, the lawnmower, that's the bee's knees, I'm telling you. Anyway, I guess I'll continue on with my reading. U.S. to arm Ukraine with longer-range missiles, says Reuters. President Joe Biden's administration has reportedly decided to send longer-range rockets to Ukraine, giving Kiev's forces the capability to hit targets further behind the front lines, just as a top Ukrainian intelligence official threatened more strikes deeper inside Russia. The gift of ground-launched small-diameter bomb, or GLSDBs, rocket artillery munitions with a range of 150 kilometers or 94 miles will be part of an upcoming military aid package for Ukraine valued at more than $2 billion, Reuters reported on Tuesday, citing two unidentified U.S. officials familiar with the plans. The package will also include additional Javelin anti-tank weapons, mine-resistant vehicles, multiple launch rocket systems, and support equipment for Patriot air defense systems. The GLSDB rockets will give Ukrainian forces further reach, nearly doubling the range of the MLRS and HIMARS munitions that Washington and its NATO allies have previously been provided. Biden had been reluctant to send weaponry that could strike Russian soil, risking escalation into a wider conflict with Moscow, but he has authorized increasingly provocative aid in recent weeks. Marching us into World War III, and then the rest is going to go into the history of what all he's allowed, so. Yeah, that whole Yeti cooler thing. You know, are they, do they work? Do they do as they claim? Absolutely. I've heard nothing but really positive stuff. But like you say, are they worth that? No. And I think it's bullshit the companies do that, to be honest. I really do. I'm all for capitalism. All for it. But there comes a point to where you're seriously taking advantage of people. And to me, a lot of these products, especially a lot of these keeping up with the Joneses products, are so overpriced, it's unreal. Why are the Blackstone grills that high? You can't tell me it's materials. No, it's the name. The name. You got a dozen other companies that can put out a grill just as good under a no name for half the price. Come on. It just doesn't make sense to me. Again, I'm all about capitalism. But there comes a point to where it's taking advantage. And I think that happens everywhere. I think it happens in the service industry a lot. And I think it's horrid in the service industry. It used to be really bad in computers. Either you built, and it used to be, either you learned how to build your own, which is really not that hard, or you went out and bought a custom Alienware or something like that, and you were going to be paying $3,000-$4,000 to have a good gaming computer. Now, though, it's quite a bit of a different market. You can actually go and just look on Amazon, eBay, any number of places. You can go to Tiger Direct, Newegg, any number of places. And look at the pre-builts. You can spend between $1,200 and $1,500 on a pre-built computer and have a pretty badass computer in comparison to, say 10 years ago or so, where, like I said, you would have to pay $3,000 to get a good pre-built computer if you didn't build it yourself. So lots of things changing in that realm. Let's see. Warning issued for petrodollar. The U.S. is facing serious economic risks as more countries around the globe move away from the dollar in energy trade, according to former White House official Paul Craig Roberts. Roberts, who served as U.S. Assistant Secretary of the Treasury for Economic Policy during the Reagan administration, cautioned in an article published on Monday that the end of the petrodollar would have severe adverse effects on the value of the dollar, as well as on U.S. inflation and interest rates. Oh, I'm telling you, that would screw us so bad. He pointed to Saudi Arabia's recent announcement that it was open to accepting payment for oil in currencies other than the dollar. According to Roberts, if that happens, the demand for dollars and the currency's value will fall. By billing for oil in dollars, the Saudis guaranteed worldwide demand for the greenback, he explained. This is a major threat to Washington's power and to the financial power of American banks, the economist added. Now, let me just jump in here. It sounds to me like financially, and this is a matter of fact actually, that financially, the founding of the U.S. dollar is just essentially bullshit. Pretty much. That's what this is telling me. If you need other countries, other entities, other companies, what have you, to use your particular currency to keep your currency relevant, to keep your currency afloat, that ain't a currency. That's some kind of damn Ponzi scheme or something. That's not a currency. Currencies are backed by something, not just feelings, which I know that's what a fiat currency is. Man, I look at all this stuff and I'm at a loss, because a lot of this stuff happened, early 1900s. And so it's been like, pretty much over 100 years, or at 100 years since major changes were put into place that brought all this about. And I'm looking at it going, how in the hell did nobody wake up and say, wait a minute, in all this time, and force the change back to an actual viable currency, something that's backed by gold or something else of value? I don't know. We are in trouble. We're in so much deep doo-doo, it's unreal. I don't know. That's why I say keep putting back food, keep putting back stuff, because I don't know what to tell you. The road forward looks rough. No matter how it gets cut out for us, it looks like it's going to be a rough one. I don't know if, we're certainly going to have economic strife, major economic strife. That's, in my opinion, that's a given. I don't know. I think we're going to have war compounded. And on top of all that stuff, you're going to have all the other madness that comes with it, disease, and I don't think it's going to be a bright future. And I think we're going to be heading into it pretty quick like. So I don't think these other nations are going to be taking a long time to make their decisions on what they're going to do, who they're going to support, who they're going to do business with. And I got bad news. The U.S. is really not on the winning side of that one. U.S. oil giant posts monster profit, and I don't get it. So folks have been paying unbelievable costs for energy of all sorts. This nation, pretty much every nation around the planet. But Exxon can boast about a monster profit. People wonder why I've got such an attitude against big oil, and why I am so much in favor of figuring something out something. If we put even half the amount of effort into figuring out a better alternative as what people put into defending big oil, we'd have this problem solved lickety-split. They put it right in front of our face each and every year, beyond every year, every quarter, every statement. They put it in our faces. And we run back for more. I'll never understand it. Now, I wanted to cover this because I think the media is trying to put a spin on this particular story here. And if you look at the headline, it sounds a bit rough. Man with both legs amputated, shot dead by police. Well, holy hell! Why did they have to shoot a guy that don't even have legs? Well, apparently, he stabbed somebody. He was involved in a stabbing, and when police approached him, he had a knife then, and he was trying to get away. Now, I'm not all hip with the police's statement that the reason why they opened fire was because he turned their direction and they were worried he was going to throw the knife at them. Whatever. I won't argue. The dude was stabbing somebody. He was trying to kill somebody else. At that point, he pretty much loses his rights, in my opinion. His rights are over with. And I'm not saying that that's when somebody needs to decide to be judge, jury, and executioner. Absolutely not. But you put together a combination of things. Here, this guy tried to stab somebody to death. He's got a knife. He's trying to run from police. Okay, if they open fire, I mean, that is what it is. Maybe he shouldn't have, tried to stab somebody to death. Then maybe he shouldn't have tried running away from the cops with a knife in his hands. I don't know. Just a crazy thought. Sometimes we have to take accountability for things. And this is certainly one of those times. So this is going on. I don't know how much it's getting pushed out in mainstream media. I have no idea. I don't watch mainstream media. But I know RT covered it. So if RT covered it, I'm sure mainstream is as well. So, because to be honest, RT don't focus a lot on this type of stuff. Not on U.S. shootings and stuff. They really don't. They're not like CNN. Okay. Oh, wow. I guess I've been rambling more than I thought. Oh, well. Let me have a couple of drinks and a few vapes and do some headlines and we'll make the dog feel better by ending the show, since it's apparently highly offensive. Hey, maybe she suffers from misophonia. Maybe I should get earplugs for her too. Oh, no, I can't do that, because then she couldn't hear our bullshit. Nope, can't do that. Let's see. That's the best dog I've ever had in my life. She is just awesome. Never had one that just was, I don't know, so in tune. And I got huffed. See, I can't win. I can't win. Well, by definition, she is a bitch. So, British oil giant predicts shift to clean energy. Good luck on that. Spanish inflation accelerates on higher fuel prices. See, that's, by the way, the problem why we can't get anywhere with any types of other types of energy. It's because the only ones that are really putting anything into anything are oil, and kind of the whole purpose of what they're doing is to make sure everything fails but oil. You know? Kind of the point of being in business. Spanish inflation accelerates on higher fuel prices. Pentagon chief makes nuclear pledge to Asian ally. You know, the thing, and another side note here, that, you know, and I've said this many times, they've talked about how we need to have energy independence. Energy independence. Okay. Well, then, for those individuals whom it would benefit, have them use solar power. For the individuals where wind would be a benefit, well, you have them use wind power. To me, this is common sense. But I'm not saying do this on a large, on a grid system like they want to do. They want to do it on a grid system. Why? Because, you got to pay the piper. They want you to pay somebody. And how much you want to bet that if something major with solar or wind or something like that took off, how much would you bet that these oil companies would be investing in it hand over fist to make sure that they are the ones that continue to remain in control? It's just the way it is. They don't want you energy independent. They want you energy dependent. They want you very energy dependent. In fact, they want you so energy dependent now they're trying to eliminate natural gas as one of your sources of energy. That's how energy dependent they want you. They want you down to one choice, and that choice is electric. And on an outdated system, an outdated grid that can't hold the current capacity, no less a new demand of capacity, it's insane. And when you're shutting down the coal plants, I'm not a fan of nuclear power plants, so if you shut those puppies down, I'm not going to argue. But we need to do something. I'm all for firing up more coal plants for the time being. I'm all for natural gas power plants. Don't see a problem there either. But we need to be working towards something. We need to be trying to do something. But we need to do it on an individual basis so that you don't have to pay somebody for power. To me, how in the hell can you destroy a nation by taking down their power grid if everybody else is powering their own homes? Be kind of hard to do. You'd have to use an EMP. You wouldn't be able to take down the entire grid just by taking out some substations. So I don't understand, their lies with that when they say energy independence. They don't want you independent on energy, not even remotely. Some places there's laws against you going off grid. Some places you can get fined for going off the grid, off their power system. It's unreal. Spanish inflation accelerates on higher fuel prices. Pentagon chief makes nuclear pledge to I covered that. Olympic chiefs react to defamation from Kiev. I just shared that. It's sports, but it involves Ukraine. Brazil makes proposal on Ukraine peace talks. Tehran warns U.S. against triggering war, says media. IMF upgrades Russian economy forecast. Oil price cap will not make a dent in Russia's revenues, says IMF. A woman killed lookalikes she found online to fake her own death, says police. That's pretty crazy. Russian man jailed in first terrorism trial of its kind. Trump sues legendary journalist for over audiobook. U.S. targets China's Huawei with more restrictions, says Reuters. Workers use glue to fix British nuclear submarine reactor, says media. Nuclear submarine, you say? Dive. EU state president urges NATO to cross more Russian red lines. Let's see. Hundreds protest against Germany's policies on Ukraine. Turkey reiterates proposal for Finland. Amount of frozen Russian investments revealed. China lashes out at NATO country's newly elected leader. Lavrov reveals message from Blinken. A Ukrainian intelligence chief threatens attacks on Russia. A UK economy to perform worse than Russia, says IMF. Turkish peace efforts in Ukraine deserve Nobel Prize, says Hungarian FM. A Russian Navy rescues French national. Norway's wealth fund posts heavy losses. Warsaw comments on F-16s for Ukraine. Oh, I covered that one. Banned mines fired by Kiev maimed Ukrainian civilians, says NGO. Ukraine condemns Croatian president's comments on Crimea. U.S. VP's own party questions her fitness to serve. Not only is Joe being questioned, so is the hoe. President swaps stuffed lion for tractor. It's, a tractor for a lion. I mean, why not? Could have brought smoked salmon or something like, no, stuffed lion. Much, much nicer. British authorities withhold Chelsea proceeds from Roman Abramovich. I know that's sports-ish related, but U.S. accuses Russia of violating... Oh, covered that one. NATO member condemns Sweden's response to Koran burning. Getting huffed again. I got a number 1 up there. Let me see what that is. Let me get that shared out. So it'll be there when we get there. Okay. Watchdog finds $5.4 billion in potential COVID loan fraud. U.S. spending too much on Ukraine, quarter of Americans say. Only a quarter of Americans, huh? Okay. Covered that. FBI searched Biden's think tank for classified documents, says media. I'm telling you, you need to go every crappy gas station bathroom from D.C. to Vegas. You're probably going to need to look for documents on laptops. Alec Baldwin formerly charged in fatal shooting, so now he's actually been charged. U.S. to arm... covered that. And the last headline that just came out, NATO state wants to fast-track training of Ukrainian tank crews. So there you go. Fun. Not really. I expect to see more of the same coming, and I expect to see a faster escalation of events. That's really about the only thing I can see moving forward at this point. Just keep at it. Keep getting ready. About all we can do. So, anyway, I am going to get out of here. God willing, I'll be back again tomorrow to cover this nonsense some more. So, hope you all have a good night. Hope to see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.